So, a few months ago, I read a book called How to Change, and in it, they talked about temptation bundling, which is when you pair something healthy with something sugary. And the author did this study on a whole bunch of students. Some of the students, they gave an iPod that was loaded with an audiobook for the Hunger Games. If they wanted to keep on listening to the audiobook, they'd have to come back to the gym because the iPod would be locked in a box they could only access if they went to work out. The week after the study, the students who were given the iPod exercised 55% more than the students who weren't. The author's conclusion was this: temptation bundling works best if you can actually restrict an indulgence to whenever you're doing the task that needs an extra boost of motivation. So I decided to try restricted temptation bundling for a month. I created one rule for myself: no media unless I was meal prepping, cleaning, or working out. Over the years, I've done a lot of media diets. I'd go without TV for months, get rid of TikTok completely. I restricted myself to only reading fantasy when I'm on holiday or it's a weekend. And what I found is that even though I'm pretty good at just not listening to media, I'm not as good when it comes to moderating. Like I suck at moderating, if I'm being honest. So in this challenge, not only are we doing restricted temptation bundling to get things done, it's also about learning to work through the urge to binge. So it's my first weekend doing this and I'm bored, like I'm so bored. I've already worked out for 20 minutes. I have plans with a friend this afternoon, but they're not happening anymore. And honestly, like I don't feel like going out seeing people. I just want to listen to a little podcast, watch a little Netflix show. And you know what that means. The media I'd chosen to listen to was a Brandon Sanderson audiobook, and the only way that I could listen to it on this weekend where I was feeling so bored was to clean. This was the most productive day potentially of my life, and it was all driven because I really wanted to keep on listening to this audiobook and I had no other choice than to cook or clean while I did it. I'm stoked that I was so productive on this day, but it goes to show how addicted I felt to media at this point in time. I felt bored and the only thing that my mind wanted to do was put something a little bit mind-numbing on. Getting myself to stop watching a TV show or stop reading a good book has always been such a struggle for me. Like to the point where I would say it can become disruptive to my life. Neurologist Dr. Randall Wright has talked about this before, and he said that our brains can become as addicted to television in the same ways that they can become addicted to highly addictive chemicals. Just like your brain can rewire to want more of highly addictive chemicals that are giving you that dopamine, your brain can rewire to want more of digital stimulus like TikTok or Netflix, or even, for me, it seems books, which honestly in my head just feel like I'm watching a Netflix show. I started noticing my media triggers in this month. So when it comes to any habit loop, there are 3 stages. There is the trigger, there's the behavior, and there's the reward. When I was bored, my brain was like, yes, let's pop on a little show. When I felt overwhelmed, immediately my mind was like, let's listen to something sugary. And when I felt anxious, it was like my brain auto-suggested TikTok as a solution to my anxiety. So neuroscientist Judd Brewer talks about this in his book Unwinding Anxiety, noting that the only way to change a habit is to update its reward value. And how can one do that? Through mindful awareness. So I've reached day 9. I had no sleep last night and my brain feels fuzzy, and all I feel like doing right now is listening to my audiobook. I want to find out what happens. So I think I'm just gonna sit here, get really present with that sensation so that in the future it's a little quieter. Literally, the urge to listen to an audiobook feels so similar to like holding a spoonful of sticky date pudding in front of my mouth. So what you see me doing in this clip is called mindful awareness, and it's basically just getting really curious about an urge. And every unhelpful habit comes with an urge. So Dr. Judd Brewer suggests asking questions like, where do I feel that in my body? What shape is it? What side of my body is it on most? And basically just getting as interested in an addictive urge as you can until it passes, and noticing it pass as well. And now that I have like tossed and turned how that urge feels in my body, I actually don't feel as obsessed with the idea of it. So this kind of thought training, mindfulness, intense curiosity, I feel is more helpful to me than just doing like a I give up media for a month challenge. Like I actually want to retrain my brain a little whilst giving up media. It's like the curiosity about the urge just dissolved it. Get curious when you act out these habit loops of going on TikTok. How does it feel in your body? Not only when you put on the show or open the app, but an hour later, how does your body really feel? And when you do this over and over again, you update the reward value in your brain, and eventually your brain just goes, wait, that habit sucks. Dr. Judd Brewer describes it as a disenchanting process. Now, what I'm not saying in this vlog is every time you get an urge to watch TV or listen to an audiobook or do anything enjoyable or fun, you should should get really curious and try to kill it. But for me, I would say I do really struggle to stop myself from acting on those urges, whereas some people have like a much better handle on that. This video is brought to you by Squarespace, which is the website builder that I have used to build both of my websites. My main website, which looks like this. I have my books page, I have my apps page, I have my contact pages. I even have a little feature of my Instagram images, which is something that you can do with a Squarespace website. And I have my app page that looks like this. It has a bunch of really nice templates that you can pick and choose from, and then you can drag and drop to create a website that you love. You can create just about any kind of website with Squarespace, no matter whether you're an artist, you're a creator, you want to create an e-commerce store, maybe you want a membership area, you can create your website using Squarespace. It's flexible, it has templates for you. It's just so convenient. It can all just happen in the background. You don't have to keep on updating it. There are no plugins, there are no patches. If you want to create your very first website, Squarespace is offering my viewers 10% off of their very first purchase. If you want to click the link down in the description below, squarespace.com/michelleb. That is squarespace.com/michelleb for 10% off of your first purchase. One thing that temptation bundling taps into is the power of bright lines. Bright lines are lines that you simply cannot miss. If there was a bright, big yellow line in front of you, it would be impossible to step over it without knowing that you'd stepped over it. Most people have fuzzy lines when it comes to their media, so I'm gonna go on TikTok less. I'm only gonna watch a little bit of TV every week. My bright line was I can only watch media if I'm cooking, cleaning, exercising. But here are some bright line ideas that might work for you. I can only watch media if it's Saturday, Sunday. I can only watch media if it's past 6 p.m. I can only watch media if I'm watching it with someone else. Or I can only watch media if I've gotten all of my routine self-care tasks done for the day. So I feel like my bright line rule transformed into I can only watch media if I need to encourage myself to do something that I'm procrastinating. I use media to motivate myself to wash my face, which I hate doing, to brush my teeth, to get life admin done. And in the beginning, whenever I went to press pause, it was really hard. But I would get curious and I would get mindful and I would notice what that urge to keep on playing my thing felt like. And the more that I did it, the easier it became to tear myself away from whatever I was watching or listening to. It's like when I use mindful curiosity, the urge would exist, but it just wouldn't have such a strong hold over me to keep on binging. So one thing that I included was I can listen to media if I'm exercising, but I actually tried not to do this too much. I only ever did it if it was like I felt so resistant towards exercise and I needed to get it done. Other than that, I just wanted to lean into the enjoyment of exercise itself. And I do think that sprinkling a little sugar onto a task with something like media kind of reinforces the idea that it's not an enjoyable activity on its own. So one of the first hard parts about this challenge was actually picking what I wanted to listen to. At first I was like, oh, I'm just gonna listen to good, sugary podcasts. And then I realized podcasts only go on for so long. And I didn't want to have to be constantly deciding what I wanted to watch or listen to. So I landed on an audiobook. And that is because audiobooks go for like 20, 30, 60 hours. Personally, I went with Brandon Sanderson. At first I was worried that an audiobook would be a little too addictive, but I realized a little while into it that having something that I was super excited to put on and listen to was definitely my best choice. That meant that I didn't need to think pretty much all month about what I wanted to listen to or watch. It made the whole thing a lot easier. I'm so happy that I did this. I've never been more on top of my life. I've never felt so confident in my ability to be on top of my life, more my personal life like cleaning, cooking, etc. And I've never enjoyed restricting myself from something quite so much. I think I want to keep doing it at least until the end of the year, see how I feel from there, and maybe I'll keep on going. One of the best things that I did with this challenge was pair it with mindful curiosity. So getting really curious when I felt that need to watch a TV show or to keep on listening to my audiobook, noticing those sensations in my body, getting kind of playful with them and not giving into them. Just kind of letting them be and letting them fade on their own. I think that is kind of the key to this whole process that has made it much more impactful than it otherwise would have been, where I would have gotten to the end of the month and been like, oh no, I want to go back to watching my TV shows and audiobooks. Now, right now, I'm just like, no, I want to keep going. This is great. Restricted temptation bundling, honestly, a great tool, but there are so many other tools as well that can help you on your habit building journey. I talk about a lot of them in my video on You Can Build Self-Discipline. I'm gonna have that linked on the screen and down below. I do think that this tool should be used alongside a lot of the things that I've talked about in that video, so give that a watch now, or whenever you get around to it, you know.